I just thought I'd come out. My wife killed a rattler this last week in the yard, so I thought I'd take my snake stick and I would walk around, make sure none of his brothers or sisters was hiding in this area. But you're here for a story, so I'll give you one. I had a young lady come through when I first started the candy truck. It was one of the major stories that I've ever been told in my life as far as I'm concerned. Young lady was going to college up here, and I was sitting across the street at the swimming pool, city swimming pool. She'd come over and get her snow cones every day, and it wasn't very long though that she got to knowing me enough and felt like she could trust me, and I could tell she had a burden on her heart and her soul. And so she told this story. She said that she had been given a blind date by one of her friends. She didn't want to go, but she did. She said the guy took her out to a nice meal, but she could tell right away she wasn't interested in him. Big burly guy, braggart. She wanted nothing to do with him. After the meal, she used the excuse that she wanted to go straight to her apartment and study. She had lots of studies to do in her courses, college courses. And so he got her in the car, and they headed, however, out to the lake. I'm sure many of you young ladies have been in that situation. 12 miles out to the lake, and she tried to talk him out of going all the way. Nothing worked. Finally, she got out there, and she figured she was going to have to give him a little bit of sugar, and then he'd bring her back. So she gave him a little bit of sugar, but he wanted a lot more than that. And so she drew a line in the sand and said no. To her surprise, his hand went for her throat, and the other one cocked back for a fist and said, "We're either going to do it now or after I beat you up, but we're going to do it." Terrified, she came back to her mental thought, and she realized that she was going to try something. 2 years before that, a friend of hers had been raped, and so she had been practicing this defense against rape. And so what she did was to say this. She said, "I can't stop you if you're going to rape me. There's no way I can stop you. But you better know that I am an active member of the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. And there are, locally here, 137 members, including 2 cops and 1 county attorney. They will not appreciate you raping one of their members. In fact, they will find you, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. They will take you out to an abandoned farmstead out here, and they will find your parents. And they'll bring them out there. And they will torture you, and they will beat you until you do what they want. And what they want is they will want you to rape your mother and to rape your father. And after you've done that, they'll kill you. They'll kill them, and then they'll torture you to death." She reached down to her purse, and she got out her billfold and opened it up and took out a card. Official as any card you could imagine. And she showed it to him, and it said, "Active member of the Ku Klux Klan, order," and a few numbers, and underneath that it had her name. The Ku Klux Klan card. To reinforce the lie that she had told him. I said lie that she had told him. He turned around to the steering wheel, started the car, and headed back to McCook. On the way, he said, "You can't tell him anything. You got to tell him, I never touched you." He said that a number of times on the way back. She never responded. And when they got back to McCook and drove up to her apartment, she got out and she walked back to her apartment even though she was shaking and she wanted to run. She didn't. And she got in her apartment, she broke down and she cried. And she had gotten by the night that she was outnumbered 1,000 to 1, if you will. And she did it not with a gun or any weapon. She did it with deception. And so if you've never considered deception a weapon or a tool to be used in a dire situation, it's something you might think about. But you have to practice it like anything to get good at whatever you're trying to do. Deception. This McCook's Mr. Bill saying that worked for her may not work for you or in every situation. And never forget that anything might get you killed, including doing nothing. Rate this film.